Hi all. So back here for, morning coffee. So mm, and a good time to go ahead and start in the next few pages of my journal. This would be I think this is the last one you guys saw. So I'm trying to keep these in order so that it's like you're kind of going through my journal with me. And the other thing that I do is I really try to push myself into using some of the same papers over and over again, but to use them in different ways. So I still have a lot of these pieces here. So back over here, I use a section here and I used it this way. So I'm going to work this next spread over here, and I'm going to keep it pretty monochromatic, and just see how I work with things differently. Just kind of pushing the same colors or the same sort of textures and concepts, but using them differently. Now, this right here is some jelly printing that I did on the onion skin paper. And many of you that are following me here for these morning coffee times have already gotten your onion skin packs. I was able to put some packs together with over 50 sheets of onion skin. A lot of it came from my private collection. And then I also put some other office ephemera together. And really, so I think I have a few packs left over on my website. And I'm trying to source more so I can eventually, maybe in a couple of months, put some more packs together. But it's not the easiest, this onion skin. But you see the texture and the feel of it. Even when you go to glue it down, it goes down in translucent. It's just beautiful. So anyhow, this is a just black paint. Probably this would be Golden's on the paper. So I was sort of fooling around. I have this one too that I'll be using on the other one. I was fooling around with some stencils and just kind of seeing how I wanted to use them on some jelly prints that I was doing. And oftentimes I'll do off prints on small pieces like this because I know that I'll be able to reuse them. But being able to do them on decent paper will show me how they will actually look on my real prints, like the jelly prints that I like. If I'm going in a direction I'm working with them, I wanted to look a certain kind of way. I wanted to have a finished product. So it's kind of hard to test what the plate is going to do on paper that's not compatible to the paper that you're working on, because you're going to get a different print. So if I'm working on onion skin and I want to make sure what a print's going to look like before I actually put it on the onion skin that I've built a lot of layers up, I've got to test it on onion skin, because you can't test it on like computer paper and think it's going to do the same thing. So I hope that makes sense. So, but I know that I'm going to use a lot of these back into my journaling. I'll use them in smaller pieces. I'll put them in some of my junk journal books, my Junkadories, my jelly Junkadories. So I know it's going to get used. Why I always start with this page and go to that page, especially when I'm doing a two-page spread at the time, I do not know, but I always do. So this is jelly. This is a jelly print, and it's on some of the sort of the office paper that I sent in those packs as well. But I talk about it with you guys too. This paper this is actually Crane. I think this is some old Crane that I found when I was when I was thrifting. Yeah, it is, and it prints beautifully. So whenever you're out looking around, see any of that old office paper, like letterhead paper, buy it, especially if you can get it cheap, because it prints nicely. So anyway, I was doing a lot of neutral type of, prints on here, as you guys can see, the typical wall kind of concept. There's a lot of extra left over here. Love that stuff. So I'm going to put this page down. I think I'm just going to put the whole page on here, I'm thinking. Okay, so let me just get this going. Just glue it up. Just easier for me to get the whole thing down and then go from there. Especially if I have a full sheet, why not? I was doing these because I was just kind of experimenting with some of the paints. I got some new paints and some new, I was working on a few projects, and so I wanted to but I knew I'd be able to use these. Okay. Okay, so see it started going down wrong. And this Yoo-hoo, like, really just, it sticks pretty quickly. That's what I like about it. I want to get this corner matched up. Okay. Good. Okay. My bone folder. And I use the bone folder to kind of get, because this is a full sheet here, and I want it to go down to that gully really good. So these bone folders are really good. And I think that in the list of supplies that I shared with you guys, there was a bookbinding kit in there, had bone folder in it, and it was really a good price because you got a whole lot of stuff. And we'll be doing a lot of book structures because I'm a big book as art enthusiast. Those of you who know my story know that I developed it at a number of universities across the country. I started off at the Corcoran School of Art, and I also put in book arts programs at the Smithsonian. So I love using book as a structure for ideas and for final pieces. I'll have to do some book flips with you guys so you can see some of my my books that have been exhibited in museums and what have you. I actually have a few that are in museum collections at the Smithsonian and Women's Museum for the Arts, and also at MoMA. So I love books, and so I'll be showing you guys a lot of different ways to think about your art in the book format, as well as let's see if I could just tear this. To be able to use a lot of your jelly prints and other kind of textured papers. Okay, so that's looking good. Yep. You guys can see that. Oh, okay. So I wanted to get that little corner there with all that yummy stuff on it. That's my method to my madness. And then I think what I'm going to do is I want some of this on here. I like the way. So let's tear that off. And one of the things I know we talk about in the group is the idea of, you know, using your jelly prints. You know, oftentimes they feel so precious and it's hard to use them. And one of the things that I do when I'm like wanting to like play with some of my jelly prints in my journals, but I don't want to cut that particular one up because I really like it. It probably is moving towards being a finished piece, or it is a finished piece. I Xerox them, and you can photocopy them on like onion skin. It looks good, or like get some of the bond paper, like I'm talking about, like this letterhead paper and stuff. It's like 25% bond, and that's why I put some of that stuff in the packs for you guys, so that you would get to play and experiment with some of that. Because I mean, it's not like the paper's vintage. I mean, you don't even have to get the you don't have to even go and get vintage paper. They sell, because some of the stuff in the pack wasn't vintage. It's stuff that I got from some of the paper suppliers that supplied to like printing houses and stuff like that. And so some of those papers still are like 25%, 10, 25% cotton. And it's the fact that there's cotton fibers in the paper that makes it take so beautifully to the jelly plate, that really gives it that elegance to the way the paints are laying on there, and to just the way your whole papers and everything perform. So don't think that you know, if you're not into thrifting or if you don't really have, you know, you only have a few, you know, Goodwills or thrift places around, you really haven't found any, just call some of your printing, your the supply houses that supply to printing companies, and oftentimes, where I want to put this, you can get papers from them. So they're normally called bond papers or letterhead. That's what they're normally called. So if you have a reference name when you call around. Yeah, look at that. I like it. And like I said, this year I've just been kind of really working a lot with the idea of monochromatics. Even though I'm working with colors, I'm still like working on keeping tones close. You know, so the idea of kind of working closely in color palettes. Because when I work on my larger paintings, I'm really looking at doing place paintings that are really monochromatic, but like large. And can you imagine this piece like maybe, I don't know, like I've been working on paintings that I think it were like the canvases right now are 6 feet by 4 feet. So just think this whole thing, you know, that's what I'm always going after. So these I sort of think of as like really big and what these elements look like. Alrighty, so, and you know, and I know, so even a lot of the topics that I've selected for our Art Mythos membership class, a lot of those I'm hoping are thought-provoking. So as you're even just doing art, as you're just sort of playing with your prints and stuff, you're thinking about things like the void or awareness, you know, or awakening to that part of yourself that is creating, etc. So every bit of what you're doing doesn't have to be about that topic, but you're thinking, it gives you something to think about while you're just working and having a good time. And it's amazing how that will work itself back in, into your work as well. Now you can see this piece. I really like the tonal qualities on here from, like I use the Celadons in here. This is another jelly print. And there were some deeper grays in here, copper, Celadon, some lighter grays, and some sort of putty colors and cream colors. And I just really like the way that looks. But I'm going to take this and what I'm thinking about is using this right here on this side. And then what it kind of does, this sort of gray here butts up with this, but then it'll kind of expand out too. So see, it'll give it a completely different look, even though it's monochromatic. And it sort of gives me another color direction using these same paints. So these are the same as these. It just doesn't have the grays in it. And this started to be when I got to my ghost prints, where I was just adding white to what was already on my plate. But it started with these colors. And so they still work together. You know, it's just lesser colors going on. So I also will explain as I go along to you guys, like how my jelly prints, the ones that are jelly, the paper that I am working with is jelly prints, you know, what the colors were and what the process was, you know, that kind of thing, so that you can sort of think of it in terms of what you're even doing in your own studios for those of you who do jelly print. And if you don't jelly print, then, you know, you're also just thinking about color relationships or technique relationships as you journal with maybe, you know, papers that you have. And if you're not doing any painting, the magazines are great places to get things like, of course, your National Geographics, but any of your home magazines or fashion magazines, great papers in there that you can use for cutout. You can collage with them. So there's so many ways to approach journaling. You don't have to be a painter, or you don't have to, you know, be in jelly printing or anything like that in order to journal. I mean, when I first started journaling, the jelly print wasn't even around. So of course I wasn't using those papers. I was using other papers, my monoprint papers and things like that, but handmade papers that I make. I like using these metal edge rulers. I think I recommended that in your supply list. They are like the thing to have because it just makes tearing so much easier and they don't move on you. Okay, so here we are. It's looking good. Just nice variation. And so now what I want to do is, now I'm going to come in with the lines over here. See what I want to do with it. No, I don't want that. This is what I want. Yeah, let's change it up completely. where I want to put this. I like that it has this little bit of stuff on there. And I like the fact that this is kind of moving down the page like that. So I think I'm going to use that to my advantage. Play with it. Let's see what we come up with. I always have my waste sheet, as you guys know. It's an old piece of, just a piece of copy paper. Put my glue off on it. I really glue my pages up good because I like these journals to last. I don't want to do these journals, you know, I'm doing them every year and I'm putting ideas into them because I go back to my old journals and I look at them. So, I mean, I want them glued down well. I want to use a good glue. I don't want to kind of do this little fast thing. I don't know if I want it all the way to the top or do I want to leave a little bit? Cover that. That's my dog down there. That's not somebody going down the street, of course. Doing what they do. Okay. Plus, see, the bone folder helps you get the wrinkles and stuff out. Okay, so that's good. We'll overhang here. Okay. So I wanted to try this new pen that I got. It's another one of those pens that I gotten from that Japanese supplier. It says a zebra. We know that company, don't we? Everything is in Japanese, though. But Zebra is a Japanese pen company, so let's see how this one works. This one is supposed to be a fine tip. Like, none of it's in English, so I can't tell you. Let's see what the tip is on this one. I love these pencils. These pens, you know, I use them so much for my intuitive scripting. Whenever I see them, I've got to buy them. So this lets you see the sort of like, it's a brush point, but it looks like it's a little harder than just a soft brush point. It is. Where this brush point here, where is mine? I took it off the table here. I don't have it. The one I was using yesterday is really soft. It's like really like a brush. Where this is just look more like a longer felt marker, a felt point, but it does have a little bit of sort of like brush look to it. So let's see. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, it has a tighter point to it, so it writes tighter. I like it. See how easy they just flow out. And it works. These things work well over, you can see I'm doing it over 2 different papers. I'm using this thin sort of green, this paper is sort of like brown paper, only it's green. And then this is a jelly print we know with all of the acrylics on it. And you see how easily it just went over both surfaces. Like you could almost see there's no interruption in the line here. See how close that line is? It just went over both surfaces nicely. That's what I love about these pens. They're so easy to work with. So here we are. So those are 2 pages for today. And I've been so busy talking, I haven't had a lot of my coffee. It's going to be cold. So here we are. So looking forward to seeing what you guys are doing. Don't forget to put your pages in the group. I've been enjoying the ones that you guys have been putting in. They're looking good. So let's keep sharing and have fun today. Happy art making. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.